Hello there, welcome back to another video. Hope you all are doing well, and it's getting hot, it's getting humid, and summer fragrances are just the thing to do, right? So on that note, today we are going to talk about a fragrance from the house of Armaf. It's quite a new release. It's the Ventana Marine that we are going to talk about today. I featured this in the top 10 Middle Eastern fragrances, summer fragrances video as a bonus, item. And I thought, okay, let's do a full review of this particular fragrance, talk about its scent profile, what is it made up of, and should you get it, all of that on this particular video. You're watching The Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get going right after this intro. So welcome back. So like I said, this is the Armaf Ventana Marine. This is the newest flanker and you would see quite a lot of reviews about it. So first of all, let's talk about the presentation. It comes in a very basic paper kind of a box. The box looks like this. It's got some artwork on the front, and at the back it talks about Sterling perfumes. On the top or on the front it talks about Ventana Marine and all of that. Very, very basic, nothing great about it. This is 100 ml or the Perfume concentration, and it just talks about a little bit of the details of Armaf and all of that on the box. Nothing great. It's a very, very basic box. But the bottle itself can be very, it can have both sides of arguments. While some people would say that the bottle looks very good, it's a very good looking bottle, it looks something very different, creative, while the argument also can be that it looks very tacky, plasticky, all of that. But I kind of like the bottle because it kind of looks nice. The color combination looks very good. The cap is very tight for a plastic cap, which you can see that it's completely made up of plastic. And here it also talks about Armaf, and here it talks about being Ventana, and here it talks about being Marine, and at the bottom you also have Sterling perfumes and all of that. But in spite of being a plastic cap, it's one of those snugly fit caps. Just look at that sound that it makes. Very, very nice. This bottle itself is kind of nice to hold, but like I said, it could be tacky as such. The layer that you see here and here is the same thing that they've gone with the box presentation as well. So that is something to note. On the whole, it can be very subjective to say whether you like the bottle or not. I kind of like it. So let's do a quick spray. The sprayer is good in my opinion, and it kind of smells nice as well. And you will, like I said, there are a lot of reviews about this particular fragrance, but let's talk about the scent profile from what I've understood this particular fragrance to be. Right now, on the first whiff of this particular fragrance, you will smell nice amount of freshness. Okay, it's a fragrance that will resonate a lot with good amount of citrus elements, like could be citron, could be bergamot, could be some other citrus elements like tangerine and all of that. And then you, of course, you have a little bit of sweetness coming from ginger. You have a little bit of sweetness coming from cinnamon. Then there are certain green herbaceous notes on this particular fragrance, and of course you also have a lot of woody elements like cedarwood, sandalwood. There are also some green herbaceous things like the green tea, like the petit green, some jasmine, that kind of a vibe as well. So pretty good mix up of notes. You have a lot of citrusy fresh elements, you have a bit of spicy elements coming from ginger, you have a little bit of oriental sweetness that comes from cinnamon, and of course green tea, petit green, a little bit of those neroli, those kind of notes as well. Then of course the woody elements. So amalgamation of almost everything right that you're looking for in a fragrance, or at least that was the idea by which Armaf might have started this particular fragrance as such, right? So having said that, so that's the kind of scent profile that you get, and immediately you will kind of recognize this scent profile because the fragrance opening is very, very evident. It's an opening that if you like Chanel fragrances, you will absolutely not miss it, because the opening is definitely Bleu de Chanel. Okay, so it's a very nice opening. It's that incensey, citrusy, sweet type of opening that you get in Bleu de Chanel. That's the exact type of opening that you get, although I would say it's not as punchy as the Parfum edition. I would say somewhere in between the EDT and the EDP is where this particular fragrance sits in the opening, and there it's got absolutely right. Now that is one part of the fragrance, okay, on this particular one. That is the opening, and that's where this particular fragrance opens up for the first 40 minutes or so, and then it starts to go linear. It's a linear fragrance to a good extent, and after that you will start feeling a little bit of a different change on this particular fragrance. after the 45 minutes to one and a half or 1 hour and 15 minutes or so, then you start feeling a little bit of a different vibe, which is the citrusy opening starts to fade away, and then you start feeling a little bit of that green tea, petit green, neroli, woody kind of a vibe that's coming into this fragrance, and a little bit of that sweetness, and that continues to be there for some more time. Now the fragrance itself, in my opinion, performs for about 4.5 hours to 5 hours time, and during that point of time, the first 1.5 hours time is where I think there is a little bit of a good projection. When I say good projection, I would say about 2 feet or so, soft to loud kind of a fragrance. It's not very loud, just between, after just a little bit above the soft balancing mark, and then towards a little bit of a loudness, right? Now what's interesting is, after the second hour or so, when I said that the fragrance goes linear towards the herbaceous notes of tea and a little bit of that green neroli vibe, the woody vibes that you get, this is where the fragrance resonates to another fragrance that you would want to think about, which is the Louis Vuitton's Imagination, right? Now that is where the fragrance picks up those nuances of that imagination, because in Imagination you also have tangerine, you also have citron, you also have ginger, you also have cinnamon sweetness, and that's what makes that particular fragrance very refreshingly good. The opening of the fragrance in Imagination is fabulous, whereas I would say the dry down of Bleu de Chanel is fabulous as well. But now, with that idea to bring one of the two best fragrances of men's summer category or everyday office wear or anything like that, which is Bleu de Chanel and Louis Vuitton's Imagination, and bringing it together and making a unique fragrance is what I think the idea would have been. The intention was very right in creating this fragrance, but I think it's gone a little way off, in the sense to say, the opening of Imagination is the best part, okay? That citrusy opening, the sweet opening, that is what is very interesting of the fragrance, and the mid-tones where you have the green tea and all of that. But in this case, what happens, the green tea, the herbaceous notes, all of those notes are there, but it's very low, it's very light. So what happens is, you don't get that nuances of Imagination out loud at all. You get a very like, a 10-15% of that feeling of that particular fragrance. Of course, you do get a woody vibe to it, and when you sniff up close, you also smell that green herbaceous vibe of things of Louis Vuitton, but then you don't get that very prominently. So what's happened is, while the idea was really good, the execution kind of has gone off very badly. So what you kind of get is, you get a very nice opening of Bleu de Chanel, very nice first 45-50 minutes time to 1.5 hours time, and then the fragrance just goes downhill altogether with no performance and nothing to be excited about, right? So although the idea was very good, I think the making of this particular fragrance is not really that great. So having said that, it's not a bad fragrance, okay? It's not a great fragrance. It's just about another average everyday fragrance. Now this is the type of a fragrance that you can simply pick up and just put it on yourself and walk around for a casual summer fragrance or a casual everyday fragrance, because it will give you you will like the fragrance. It might also kind of get you compliments because the opening is good, but then the dry down, it's not very great, it's okay. So it's just about another regular fragrance. In my opinion, I wouldn't term it as bad at all. Now that's not the way to talk about a fragrance like this. It's definitely not. It is a decently average fragrance. It's not a great, it's not a good perfume, it's an average perfume. Had they been a little bit better in a way to say that, had the opening been of Imagination, where you have that sweet citrusy fragrances, and the dry down would have been more woodier, more sandalwood, or like the Bleu de Chanel Parfum edition, then this fragrance would have really worked out very well. But nonetheless, it's okay. It's definitely a decent scent to pick up for gym, casual wear, office wear, any of that category. You can definitely consider getting this, right? So yes, all fragrances need to be reviewed, in my opinion, whether they are great, good, just average, or plain outrightly bad, and I haven't really come across anything like that. This is okay. Probably the expectation would have been a lot higher, because this is coming from Armaf, plus this is a follow-up of their existing Ventana series, so I'm sure the expectations have been very high, and it's not catching up to those expectations, and that's where the disappointment comes in this particular fragrance. But aside to that, you can definitely get a flanker of this as a casual everyday fragrance that you would kind of want to. Now I think the retail price of this particular fragrance should be around 2,700 to 3,000 rupees, under that category. For that price point, I wouldn't say this is a value for money kind of a fragrance, because like I said, you don't really get extraordinarily good, but because there are other options in the market that for this particular price tag you can consider, which are really, really good fragrances. And in fact, if you simply want to get a Blue de Chanel, or you can just simply buy Blue by Armaf, which is a very good alt, or if you want Louis Vuitton's Imagination, just get Paris Corners Nostag Expressions, Troy, which is a fantastic fragrance again, because you can just get really, really good fragrances individually, while the combination is of or the creation of those two fragrances together here has not really worked in Armaf's favor, right? So if you want to try this, of course we do have decants of it. In case you want to get this, you can definitely try it and see before you buy the entire bottle, right? So that has been my quick review about this beautiful this fragrance. I wouldn't like to say beautiful, but an average fragrance called as the Marine Ventana, okay, or Ventana Marine from the house of Sterling Parfums. And if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe and share. You're watching the Perfume Experience. Until another time, take care. Bye now.